webinar titled EV Retrofitment Market. So we'll start with the presentation. So we'll begin with we'll begin with the introduction here. So basically, what is the need for retrofitment and what is its importance? So as we seeing every day the impact of climate change, we are really witnessing it every day, and mostly this is happening because of increased pollution levels. And the vehicle emissions from road transport is crossing limits day by day, and is significant and is the biggest culprit towards the rising pollution. So it is here that uh, as a strategy to mitigate this high rising pollution levels, electric vehicles have come up and are really getting traction worldwide. But there are some challenges associated with electric vehicles, especially the rising upfront cost, the higher upfront costs, and and which is slowing down its adoption. So this is where retrofitment comes to the picture. It will lower down the upfront cost of the EVs. So basically, it has two advantages. It will lower down the upfront cost, and also it will increase the lifespan of the vehicles. So this is where the retrofitment is making a significant contribution. So now, if I really look at the cost that is associated with retrofitment, so if it costs around 60% of a new EV's cost, and out of that 60%, around 50% of the cost is contributed from the battery, which is the costliest component of the entire retrofitment process. So now going to the next slide. So talking about the personal and commercial segment. Now, if you look at the commercial segment in EV retrofitment, it is dominated by three wheelers. And what's the reason behind that? It's simple because in the three wheeler space, the retrofitment service provider, the retrofitment companies, they're focusing on exploring on battery subscription models such as battery swapping, and because of this the upfront prices fallen to 25% of the new AVs, and it's making a significant difference, and this is the reason why it's making more viable. Now coming to the personal segment, in personal segment the consumers are mostly the owners of luxurious vehicles or vintage vehicles, and they're more into hobby collection and all that. Uh, so they are into retrofitting because they want to avoid the mandatory scrapping rules that the government has, and they want to maintain adhere to the strict emission norms. So this is about personal and commercial segment. Now, making a comparison between personal and commercial, what we see is in personal, it is not that viable retrofitting, because as we discussed in the last slide, in case of personal segment, it's around 60% of the cost goes into retrofitting compared to, of the new EVs. And on top of that, there's an assembling cost, there's an disassembling cost, and also the apart from this, there are other drawbacks. For example, there are no warranties, and secondly the chassis has a lot of wear and tear, so it's attractive for personal players. Whereas if you look at commercial players, it is very attractive because the commercial players are involved in retrofitting in bulk. So this is the reason why, even if the small difference that it has, for example, let's say 70% of the cost goes in retrofitting, even the 30% price gap, which is looks insignificant, but when it is done in bulk, it kind of overcomes the cost barrier and becomes very much cost effective due to economics of scale. Now, looking at the trends and emerging business models. So, what we see is three kind of business models that are kind of very prevalent. I'm sorry, battery swapping model, leasing model, and hybrid electric retrofits. So, as discussed in the last slide, that in battery swapping model, what we see is the the need for upfront battery purchase that kind of gets removed, and it is get replaced with a monthly subscription or rental fee. So because of this, the retrofitting costs fall down, and you can see this cause as the 25% of new electric vehicles. So this is the reason why battery swapping is taking off. Now coming to four wheelers, so what we see is that because in four wheelers, it is the retrofitting is costly, like compared to a two wheeler and three wheeler, because of heavier batteries and complex powertrain. So the entire process is slightly complex and slightly costly. And even battery swapping is not fully developed here in four wheelers compared to two wheelers and three wheelers. It's not that relevant. So this is where the e-leasing model has kind of becoming popular, where the retrofitting cost is kind of spread across months in case of monthly fees. So four-wheelers leasing model is becoming a very good hit. And thirdly, we see a hybrid model where customers are opting for both EV and ICE modes. And also, what we see in case of hybrid electric mode is that it is less costly compared to a retrofitting of complete or a pure EV, because you need to replace the complete components. But here you don't have to go for a complete replacement of components. And finally, we looked at the EV retrofitment market landscape. So there are what we see is there are a lot of players across categories. You have OEMs, you have pure play EVs, you have auto component manufacturers, you have service providers, and across all segment we see players having a presence in this market. S- So what we currently see that the market is nascent, and it has established centers only in few places like Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, or NCR. But I think it's growing fast and it's definitely will pick up. Now, coming to this webinar and the agenda that we see here, it's very similar to the points that we have discussed. One is what is the emerging trends in the EV retrofit market? What is the viability of EV retrofitment of vehicle segments? What are the factors that is influencing viability of EV retrofitment in India? What are the emerging business models? What are the key challenges? Uh, okay. So, so basically, so this is the initial presentation part. Now I'd like to introduce our panelists, and I'd like to start with Mr. Ashish Dokania. So he's a seasoned professional with over 19 years of expertise in the power and automotive sector. He's currently the founder and CEO of Tiger Green Mobility, is a company that specializes in converting two-wheelers into hybrid electric vehicles. Also, we have Mr. Nikhil Khurana. He is the managing director of Fox Motors with around 13 years of experience. And this company collaborates with ARAI to develop hybrid electric retrofit solution for passenger vehicles. So we have other panelists also. We are waiting for them. Um, we have Mr. Bhanu Pratap Singh also. Maybe he will join sometime. So he's the MD and director of DoReal Motor with over 5 years of experience. He's also held the position of director at BKN Biogas Energy. So DoReal Motors is a retrofitting company which focuses on converting IC to EVs. And also we have Dr. Srinivas Venu. I think he'll also join shortly. So he's a highly accomplished professional with more than 27 years of experience in the power and automotive industries, and currently serves as an executive director of 021 Group. So with this, I think we we can proceed to the panel discussion round. Okay. So anyone in the audience, if he has any question, they can share it in the Skype group, and then I mean the chat group, and then we can take up these questions to the panelists. So okay. So, so coming to the panel discussion, we would like to bifurcate the panel into three sections. We'll start with market feasibility and retrofitting costs. Then we'll have section on emerging players and regulatory challenges, and and also we'll talk about yeah, and we'll also talk about homologation and what are the market risks. So yeah, so just we'll start with the panel discussion soon. Let me stop the screen share. Okay. So yes, so Dr. Srinivasa also has joined. So so okay.
Is
So
this audio?
yeah, so we'll start with thank you sir joining. Thank you sir, Dr. Srinivasa. Thanks a lot for joining. I think there was maybe some issues with the links and all. So please don't mind. So thank you sir for joining. So Dr. Srinivas, I would like to start with you. So basically, in the first section, we'll talk about the retrofitting landscape in India and all that. So basically, what we want to know, sir, is how do you see the current state of EV retrofitting market in India, and like which segments are the players focusing on, and how do you compare it with global counterparts? So, what's your view, sir? I think you are on mute. I think, yeah.
Yeah, let me just
Yes, sir. Yes.
switch on my video. So, very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Srini here. So, yeah, thanks, Aswin. I think you
Yes.
have set the tone in the right way. So, retrofitment, I would at least foresee this particular concept picking up much faster than we expected. Okay. Uh, because this can easily align to whatever the visions that we have set, by the government of India. But 2030 is still a very achievable target. Having said, retrofit could actually be a very good platform to do the conversions in a much faster phase. But the major issue here is, the technology, as you have already highlighted in some of your research papers and as well the presentation which you have shared earlier also. The major constraint is the kind of powertrain composition, especially the kind of, even for the three-wheeler space or for any multi-axle or even for a two-wheeler, the powertrain configuration or the form factor, it is very important. How exactly we could get this. The issue is, just per se, let me just take one example. I don't know how much time I have, but in the interest of time, let me just make some few highlights here. Let us take the passenger segment, L5 passenger segment per se. So you have the current diesel, the vehicles which are plying on the, on the India roads. You have majorly three OEMs which you can bifurcate. Okay, maybe a Bajaj RE, then Piaggio, then you have the Montra, or the other company which runs into this. So typically the maximum who has, then how this configuration is in this, how many variants are there, these are the major challenges. Then the certification, in fact. So what happens typically here is, first of all, accepting this as a concept, the social awareness is one thing which is very important. That is a prime factor here. And majorly, the second important thing is, it is not just let me come to the OEM in the second stage, but how this can reach very easily, and how an end customer can be educated and get converted much faster. Why? Because this 80 to 90% of this market is typically controlled by unions. So that's like typical concept which we have in the Indian scenario. So convincing these unions, then again, it again goes into a different ball game altogether, a different market strategy altogether, and there are many challenges in those areas. How you handle them, so there are a lot of commercial aspects which are also involved into it. I'll just limit that. So having said, so typically what happens is, one thing the awareness, one thing is these kind of challenges would come, and the third important factor is the right technology of the powertrain is also very important. What I mean here as a right technology of powertrain is, if I go and tell to any customer, let me place this in a very simple English. I'm going to do the conversion kit to you. So the immediate question would come as, the service part or the maintenance part, because the social awareness is still missing, and there are, many cases. So there is a psychological impact which is already there in the mind. Okay, but in the recent past, if you see, this is the past. In the recent past, if I try to look, the conversion is really picking up much faster than it is expected as compared to the previous years. In fact, the one thing is the social awareness is, it is getting much more better. Then people are coming forward in order to get this. Technology is also getting more matured in terms of this powertrain. Battery prices have come down. People have really understood the game. At least they know the OEM. Okay, you have like two or three OEMs in this particular space. So which OEM has the major vehicles with them? So how we can actually get our form factor match to this particular OEM vendor. In fact, I think these things are picking up on one side. Let me make this as one important point. So here the nutshell is the market is positive now. It is really moving the value chain. This is one important point. The second important point here is, these are all my observations, what I'm saying. The second important factor is, on a viability basis, from a price comparison, or from at least from a retrofit viability perspective, if you go for a multi-axle, it is much more beneficial, the way I try to see, because we have greased our hands in this particular space, and at least we feel that there is some, I would say, a reasonable, the cost difference that we are trying to bring in, versus if you go, invest on an EV vehicle, in the market. When you compare with the retrofitment, this gives much more, I would say, beneficial for the retrofitment.
For example, bus says
The
speaking
other
about.
aspect is again,
Yes, Bhanu,
the
you can go.
serviceability part. I think I was all the time trying to get this concept, but I don't know how to really make it more implementable. I call this as a PJM. Of course, this is not a new concept, or I have not brought this concept. This is already there. Maruti. Many people have they have already implemented this, like private garage mechanism concept. Okay. Besides the dealers who also have a service setup of their own, or the OEMs, setting up the service centers, the PJM is something which would really work out much better if this can really nail down at the ground in a proper way. Identify, I would say, geography wise, small places like two, three, locations, or within a vicinity of particular radius, if we can have around 5 to 6, I would say, the private garage mechanics teams developed by the OEM, in fact, or by the service providers. Of course, the digitization, the apps, everything, the online, those things are anyways, it can come, because I think that's how we are advancing in terms of technology for sure. But what I mean to say that this has to, get more implemented. See, end of the day, as an individual, if I'm getting the right price, the right product, and I'm getting service where my vehicle is not stopping, what is really, what is the hindrance factor here? I do not see any hindrance factor. End of the day, whether you take
So just
a
one
new vehicle
question.
or this one.
So when you
I
say
think you're
PJM,
on
so
mute, Saswat.
okay,
Could not hear you.
just yeah. Sorry, is it audible now?
Yeah, yeah. Now
So
you're
what I
audible.
mean is, when you say PGM, do you mean that the extent of localization will improve as this ecosystem develop? When you say,
This would improve. One thing is, this is a kind of confidence level that you're trying to give to the end
mm,
customer. That is point number one. Point number
yeah,
two is, they would obviously be a well-trained, PGM people. You give them a toolkit. So, there are many things which we can work out, at the sub level. So, the major aspect here is the serviceability. And the second thing, anyways, the technology is, a lot of improvements are coming. The digital side, lot of improvements are coming.
yes,
Whatever
get
concepts
it.
you call vehicle to grid to vehicle, all those
Yep.
things are in play. Once you give him an assurance that for next 5 years you are covered under warranty, say you have used a diesel vehicle for 5 years and you're giving an additional 5 years of warranty to him, I would certainly see, because for us, fortunately, or whatever reason it is, the place where we are in, the country where we are in, it's a price sensitive market. If we can get this all
Mm,
in one silo in a proper way, and offer to the customer, I would really see why the change would not come. But of course, some little bit of regulatory framework also needs to be worked on. But these days, thanks to to the DHI, at least ARA and the certifying
Hmm.
bodies, they have gone one step forward, and they're certifying these as kits, as retrofit kits.
Okay,
So
yes.
this is one milestone achievement, like how swapping it has happened. On a
Hmm.
similar way, even this retrofitment is also happening much faster, in fact.
Yes.
So this
Yes,
is
yes, sir.
something
We can,
which
sir, we
I
have other
try to
panelists.
draw lines. Yeah,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
We will carry the conversation forward, going forward, wherever we left. So now, sir, I would like to ask Mr. Nikhil Khurana. So basically, so what I have seen that your company, Folks Motor, is into retrofitting of hybrid vehicles. So I just want to know, like, how is it different from retrofitting a pure EV and retrofitting an hybrid model? And also, I have seen that you are taking used cars, basically pre-owned vehicles. Like there are companies who try to sell retrofit kits or do a retrofitting, provide a retrofitting service. But what you're doing is you are taking pre-owned vehicles, second-hand vehicles, and you are kind of retrofit and selling them as new products. So how do you see this? Like, which is why did you select this model? And how do you see this different kind of business model? Which one is better according to you?
Hi, thanks for having me here. Uh, to describe the entire retrofitment solutions as a market segment, we have taken in an OEM position where we have developed our own technology stack in terms of a generic XEV powertrain platform, and it's based on world's first hybrid electric powertrain platform uh, on a manual transmission. So with that
Okay.
XEV powertrain configuration, our entire retrofitment solution is designed and configured in a way where it gets the series hybrid, plug-in hybrid, uh,
Mhm.
parallel hybrid, and BEV operation as well. So all sorts of hybrid and electric configurations one could get in one generic XEV solution. And we, as an OEM, has taken in a initiative to have our entire dealer network where people can come and buy retrofitted cars. So basically, we're calling it as retrofit cars, and they can exchange their own pre-owned cars with an option to swap uh, that vehicle. Because since this XEV retrofitment is a model specific solution, so we have targeted which are the most popular vehicles as in high in volume. So people can get those
Hmm.
retrofit cars, and or if they have that vehicle for which we have the solution developed, it's say like it's coming from a Suzuki brand line, which includes Swift, Desire, Baleno, Ertiga, Brezza. So these are the five most prominent outselling models, and we have developed a simple solution so that any customer can get it converted in say about less than 2 hours, and the overall turnaround time it has come to be 1 day, that people can drop the car by the morning and get it uh, all retrofitted with our solution, uh, where and just take it by the evening. And see, we are we have developed the configuration where we do not remove the engine, but the power capacity of the electric motor drive system or the battery pack, it is having a significant application in terms of a 50-kilometer EV drive as well as a 100-kilometer EV drive, which could be extended as per the customer's requirement, which does include uh, as different warranty terms and different cost to it. And we as an OEM has described and structured a warranty program even for if it, for any customer buying in a retrofit car. It could be like 2 years, 50,000 kilometers, whichever is earlier, as a standard warranty. That could be extended up to till 5 years, 1 lakh kilometer warranty, and even 8 years, 2 lakh kilometer warranty as well. And
Hmm.
such a warranty program is available for retrofit cars and retrofit kits as well. And in our dealer network platform, people can come in and get their other services and repairs done as well. So it's a complete OEM model where just like a 3S facility people or these car manufacturers have got. So we have a sales, spares, and services. So sales would be for retrofit cars, spares would be retrofit kit, and other services which could be included as and when the customer requires it. And since I've been a part of the EV Policy Committee for India since 2017, and the government has helped us in a G2B partnership program coming up with ARAI, and we have worked relentlessly on this platform till 2020. And we started our company in 2016. And prior to that, we have done enough validation on the concept and the technology at par. And as and when it was the right time, we started our commercial operations. And until 2020, we have developed it in a at a marketplace level where we could enter the market. And with the Delhi government's provision to convert 10-year-old diesel cars, we are very much open to come in the market. But at one's level, we are still stuck where there is no taxation framework for this product category. So there is no HSN code for this product category. And that's where we are stuck somewhere, because on a high volume mass scale supply chain, we need to have a justified taxation framework so that we could apply it to a certain HSN code and sell it to the applicable GST framework as well. So that's where there's a long way to go. And we are still working on that as all retrofitters combine together as well. And that's what we have been doing, and trying our best efforts for it.
Okay, sir. Nice to hear about it. So now I would like to ask Mr. Ashish Dhokania. So we heard the two panelists speaking about the various facets of this AV retrofitting market, how PGM model, the better it develops, the more the ecosystem matures, the lower the cost will get. So just want to understand from you, do you see retrofitting becoming a viable option, becoming a new alternative to EVs? Because especially when we're noticing the players are mostly focused on two-wheeler, three-wheelers, do we have enough capacity in handling retrofitting of heavier vehicles? And for example, like Srinivas sir was saying, like in the higher end segments, like maybe in four-wheelers or trucks or buses, the price gap is higher and the realization that you get from retrofitting profitability increases. So overall, how do you see the market? Does the current market have enough capacity to do complex retrofitting? And could it really become a viable alternative?
Thanks, Ashwat. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
So, you have asked me 2 points, basically about the commercial viability of retrofitment across form factors and what should be the market adaptability of the same. So, from my perspective, sorry, and one more thing was viability of retrofitment as against new electric vehicles.
Yeah, yes.
I personally feel that's a wrong comparison. Essentially, it's not retrofitment versus electric vehicles. It is retrofitment as a bridge to electric vehicles. So, my thesis and my organization works on converting of existing petrol vehicles into something called independent hybrids, as well as electric vehicle with and without swapping models. Now, from a perspective of that, so we have an entire suite of product when it comes to two-wheelers. And what we have, our thesis stands is that while India sells roughly around 10 lakh electric two-wheelers today on a new, high-speed electric two-wheelers which are registered, India also sells, let's call it a lakh a month. India also sells 16 lakh petrol two-wheelers every month. So essentially the adoption per se of electric vehicle is yet to catch up to the petrol numbers. However, India has more than 30 crores petrol two-wheelers which are currently plying on the roads. So while EVs may come and not may, EVs should come and replace the new demand of two-wheelers towards electric vehicles. However, the existing base also needs a solution. So the way I look into it is not a one versus another, but one plus another. So that's the two. Now, so from the other perspective of your query, I personally feel the commercial viability of retrofitments is already there. Now, for example, a Saswat Das has a petrol two-wheelers, let's call a Honda Activa. And Saswat Das is evaluating whether to sell this vehicle and buy a new vehicle or retrofit it. And Saswat Das thinks, okay, let me buy a new vehicle and sell this vehicle. And Saswat Das sells this vehicle to Ashish Dhokania. Now, Ashish Dhokania is again with the same question, whether I will sell this vehicle or I convert that. So as long as the market is in, the vehicle is in circulation, vehicle is not going for scrapping, the market for retrofit exists. The second point is commercial viability. I think virtually we are already there. And personally, I can speak for GreenTiger. We have been posting growth of almost 35% month on month in terms of B2C clients. And I do not see that there is a major challenge when it comes to the product market fit of the retrofitted products. The only challenge that we come across in terms of scale the commercial viability of the product is how we develop a couple of necessary or necessities in the same. So when I mean by necessities is how easy is the financing, how easy is the insurer, how easy is the roadside assistance, so that we can give a comprehensive feel of a new purchase to the rider while the vehicle is old and retrofitted, but the purchase is new. And along with the new purchase comes a certain, expectations of the customer. So as long as we can bridge that thing, I don't think so, in my personal opinion, that there is any challenge in terms of commercial viability of the product as well as one versus another. So I think we have crossed that bridge. As the numbers pick up, we will get a lot tailwind in our favor from the government and others, because for them also to make a policy for a new concept where the traction has not been as much is always challenging. Once the traction picks up, the policies will come. So it's one after another. So I think both the queries which you have asked, I think that's already answered, solved. The only thing is how easily we can influence the necessities to come and propel the growth. Lastly, you had asked me about across the form factor. Yes, the difference of retrofitment or the savings of retrofitment will be larger in the larger or a heavier vehicle, because the chassis and the body structure is something which remains constant, and the more the cost is ascertained to them, the more is the difference. So there is no difference or no disconnect on that. The only thing is that the larger vehicles versus the smaller vehicles, while the price difference is much more favorable to the larger vehicles, but the number of market size is much more favorable to the smaller vehicles. So I think my personal view is all segment should grow in their respective market size perspective as more and more traction is seen in the market, because automotive is a product where you don't buy on promotions, you buy on the market presence. The more vehicles are seen on the market, the more presence will be seen. So that's my simple 2 bits on this.
So you talk about that we need to sell the retrofit vehicles as a new product instead of as being sold as a second-hand vehicle. So that
Sashwat, I can't hear you.
sorry.
Sorry.
So we need to what you said, what I can understand was that we need to sell the retrofitted vehicle as a new product instead of as a second-hand product with no warranties and all. And for that, that ecosystem need to be developed so that the retrofitted vehicle becomes attractive and looks like a new product, where you have insurance, you have maintenance facilities, you have serviceability, you have everything.
Yes. So retrofitment essentially whether you sell it as a new product or a new service, but it is a fresh sale.
Yeah.
So whether you buy a old vehicle, convert and sell it, or whether the customer brings the vehicle and you convert it, whichever way.
Yeah.
So whether it's a
Yes.
product or a service, but it's a new sale, it's a fresh sale.
Yeah.
And regarding the second point, what you have said, personally, my feel is that all the necessities which are there for the ecosystem development is already existent.
Is
It's just
already
like we need to reach out, we need to show traction, and we need to show value. So sometimes we need to take the leap of faith and people join us. So per se for GreenTiger, we have solved all the problems that you have highlighted, whether it's come to financing, insurance, serviceability, RSA, all of that. But yes, as more traction will come, we will be able to offer more choices to the consumer. So right finances. If we offer
so.
one insurer, we can offer 10 insurers. So that's the way the ecosystem will develop.
So
But
for example,
players are there.
for example, in two-wheeler segment, like for example, I'm an individual and I want to do retrofitting. There are a lot of choices. Like there are a person may ask that I want a high battery or I want a high speed vehicle or I want a low speed vehicle. The customization is very high in case of two-wheelers, right? And and uh, and so for every model, there's a homologation cost that goes on, right? For example, there are a lot of demands from various customer, and is it possible to make customized homologation kit for each models that people are demanding? So isn't that a challenge in case of two wheelers? For example, in three wheelers, I get it, you have a proper standard use case,
Ah.
either passenger ferrying or a commercial. Whereas in two wheelers, there's a lot of customization requirement. I need a top speed of this, I need a uh, power requirement of this, I need a mileage of this. So there's a lot of variation and a lot of choices that people have. Does the current retrofitting technology that we have in case of two wheelers covers the entire spectrum, covers what people want?
So
And do you think the
yes,
homologation cost is a challenge, because you cannot make customized kit for all to cater to all the demands and requirements of people? So how do you manage that in that case? Isn't it tough for retrofitment companies?
no, not necessarily. I do not subscribe to that view, Sashwat. So
Okay.
essentially, the laws of the land is very clear. If you go by that, we homologated 11 models which contribute to 96% of the scooter category in the country.
Okay. Okay.
Now, once we go for the motorcycle, we would be actually homologating around 12 models, which will be doing that.
Okay.
In addition to that, what we have done is, because as Nikhil was mentioning earlier, we you need to consider yourself as an OEM rather than a retrofitter, because the guidelines of the government states that. So once you customize it, there is something called a vehicle control unit and there is something called mode. So based on the modes and customization, the rider can choose their own speed, top speed,
Okay.
acceleration, as well as the range that they want to go. So for example, if a 20-year guy comes, I'm sorry, I'm just taking that as an example. I have nothing
Yeah.
against a 30 or a 40-year-old guy or a 20-year-old guy, but just stating that if a 20-year guy wants and comes says, okay, my vehicle should go 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, my top speed should be 70 kilometer. I don't care if I get a range of 40. So you can choose that particular mode. Then a 50-year-old walks in and he says, okay, fine, I want to get a 30 kilometer top speed, acceleration of 0 to 60 in 10 seconds, but I want a 70-kilometer range because I want to, kind of more buck to my value, or more value to my buck. So you can do that. You can choose a particular mode. So basically, these kind of customizations, which you have stated, has already been factored in our vehicle. So there is nothing more to be done. So the homologated product has been designed in a manner that it is standardized completely across models, yet it gives you a flexibility to customize it as per your requirement. And in addition to that, we also give a customization whether you want to go for a, so we offer largely six solution. You want to go for a independent hybrids, you want to go for a battery, portable battery, you want to go with electric with portable battery, electric with swappable. So three, and all the three solutions also have a further thing of a smart and a non-smart, where you can customize your vehicle or you cannot customize your vehicle. So that's all solution. Whatever customer wants to spend, whatever they want, they can have it. And
So
it
what
doesn't
kind of
cost a lot
So
from a
what kind of
competition perspective.
engineering challenges do you face? Isn't it tough? Like, for example, you have a, for example, let's say a person might be having an IC scooter kind of a vehicle, and you want to retrofit that. We have a limited size space, right? And so, engineering for all kinds of models in that limited size, isn't it a challenge? Or have you figured out a way of?
It is a challenge, but that's the way OEM works. So for example, if you need to fit a 99cc vehicle within 102 kgs, Hero
Mhm.
also had a challenge as per ergonomics, but that's what the mindset is all about. If you want to non-customize and just have a product which will go into everything. That's not correct.
Yeah.
So like, let's say, for example, you are a Maruti and you only have Alto. Somebody comes to a luxury brand and you want to say, okay, I will change the seats to leather and buy it as a luxurious car. That's not going to happen, right?
Yes.
So essentially, the engineering comes from a perspective that while retaining the similar engine, like the way Maruti possibly did. It had the Zen and Maruti 1000, which are similar engine capacity, but it had a different form factor to choose a different segment. So all you need to do is the similar manner. So the way we have designed across all models, it's essentially the same products. So while the products, it's, there are high-end engineering tools which helps you to design those. You have various simulation matrices, you have Altair, you have ANSYS, which helps you to work on those. But the point is that whether you consider yourself as an OEM and go through those challenge, or you just want to have a simpler solution, okay, this is a motor and controller, I'll fit it. So that's the mindset difference.
So how do you see the technology that we have, the engineering prowess that we have compared to other global peers, other countries? I mean, like some countries might be doing better. So where are our current status compared to other countries and how they are doing? What can be done better to further improve our technology? Because I think we are sourcing components something from outside, right?
Yeah.
We're building it ourselves
Yeah.
completely. Okay.
So, see, let me tell you very simple. Most of the technology in the world has come from either the Western world, and namely Europe, America, and from Asia, it comes largely from China and Japan, and sometime in Korea. Now,
Yeah.
all of these countries have very high per capita income, and essentially they are not so much pro retrofitment as against scrapping the vehicle and supplying these vehicles to developing nations in Indonesia, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, or Africa, whatever they have. So that's
Hmm.
where this is a technology which has remained largely
Hmm.
untouched from these markets, which gives a huge advantage to India. So that means we become the pioneer to develop this technology and take it to the masses, which is other developing countries such as Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Bangladesh, the entire South Asia and Southeast Asia and Africa, or even for that matter, Latin America. So we have this thing. So right now, while market is, the customer awareness is a large challenge because it's a nascent
Hmm.
technology, it's a newer perspective. But the huge advantage is that there is no ready competition from China or Japan or from Europe or from America in order to do that. Even if they end up doing it, they always end up doing in a high-end cars or vehicles. But when it comes to the which is the large market in India, so I commonly define our market as a kind of a commercial usage and performance usage. So largely our market is a commercial usage market. In that, the form factor which is realized, we have a huge advantage to be the pioneers across the world and take the technology rather than worry about what other countries will do as a competition to that.
Okay. Understood. Thank you, sir, for insight. It was really great. It was very in depth and it was really crisp, very thought provoking. Uh, I- I would again would like to reach out to Dr. Srinivas Venu. Sir, I mean, so your company, 021, is entirely into retrofitment of three wheelers. So, and what we also have observed is that three-wheeler retrofitting volume is higher compared to other segments. So, what are the advantages that helps that is help in building a traction in three wheelers compared to others? For example, you have four wheelers, you have two wheelers. So, what one thing I've observed is that there's a lot of space in a three wheeler, which helps to kind of give flexibility in engineering to build better powertrains and all compared to other segments. So how do you see, sir, like compared to other segment, what is making the three wheeler segment retrofitting popular?
See, a couple of points. Let me answer this in two ways. In 2 points. Like one thing is, we do retrofitment as well. We also do the vehicle manufacturing, though. In fact,
Okay,
so
yeah.
so both the activities go hand in glove. Coming to retrofitment point is, you know, uh, we first picked up the multi-axle space. So we are doing the retrofitment mainly, for this segment. And for us, yes, it's good. I would say. It's growing. And we have now established ourselves in the market, very dominantly. We created that kind of service infrastructure, one thing, as well as the other gentleman has rightly highlighted. Even financing plays an important role here. So we also got the pan India financing tie-up, because end of the day is typically we are used to take loans, and to that is how our market goes, in fact. So that is another key point. But the major challenge again here is, in this case, the GST is 28%. So that, I think, that needs to be addressed in the right way, because that is killing. Say, per se, in the other segments, if you see, it is typically 5%, but in this space, it is near about 28%. So I think that is one need of the hour attention which needs to be brought in, where already, the representations have gone, in fact. The fourth important point is, see, everywhere there is an opportunity, but yeah, we need to, we cannot really cover entire models. I don't think so that is really possible, because you just keep on burning cash in terms of getting your your product homologated, in fact. So
Yes,
I don't think so that is financially it is really viable. But I think the market steady is more important in the other segments, whether you call a two-wheeler, maybe a three-wheeler, or maybe a four-wheeler, or a multi-axle kind of a thing. So which area can really has the advantage is one thing what we have to really look at. And that is what we have done. That is what we have done in our place. And very strongly penetrating ourselves into the market. So it's actually yielding good result for us, in fact.
yes.
So yeah, that is something which I would like to talk about. But obviously, for everything, you will have a lot of constraints. The
Mm.
the segment itself has a lot of constraints. I think the other gentleman on the question answer sections, he has talked about, yes, the technology is changing very fast. The next generation is onto this hydrogen fuel technology, which is coming up very fast. Obviously, at least we, from our company point of view, we are migrating ourselves. We already started accessing a European technology, and we are trying to see how we can dovetail this, how we can get this localized. So localization plays a very important role in the whole concept. So these things are anyways happening, but it is an exciting time to be in the market. That's for sure. In fact, the fear is there, but now the fear has little bit taken a few steps backward. So there will be risk, but how we mitigate and how we move forward, I think, that's what my take would be.
Sir, like there's a question from Rishi Sharma. So he has asked that.
Would you be close to your
Yeah, yeah,
mic?
yeah, sure, sure. So there's a question from Rishi Sharma, and the question is being asked is retrofitment in three-wheeler and buses have been well received by the Indian market, but why there is no growth in truck retrofitment? So I also agree to this because so like truck and buses are like they are the ones. I mean, buses. I mean, the truck is kind of a diesel, right? The pollution is very high in case of the diesel vehicles.
Okay.
So there will be a big way in kind of reducing emissions.
Yeah, if you ask me, there is no strong reason, why, trucks have not been retrofitted, in fact. It can, for sure. It can, for sure. But, so this has a larger payload. So, there are many other factors which we have to really see in terms of the product right fitment. So I would really say that the form factor plays an important aspect here. So how we try to get this, because the off highway is again very huge. I would say it is on a very big configuration here. In fact, the off highway market, like the soil compactors, or maybe the that kind of a segment. But the logistics space segment, if you see, at least that can easily be seen as one opportunity for sure. At least we as an organization, we are developing the retro product even for this segment now, in fact. So hopefully in the next 8 to 9 months, you will also see our company starting off, doing the conversions even in this space.
Okay, that's good. Hope that the answer is clear. We'll take up more questions. There's a question from Vinod Panchal that one of the major issue in EV and hybrid is lack of electrical expertise, be it as simple as loose joint protections. Anyone who can answer this question? Any?
It is very much true. I
Okay.
think he has a very valid question, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think at least I would say few years back, this was a major issue, but now things are substantially improving. I think,
Okay.
see, this is just, I would say, a socio factor rather. Of course, any concept would have certain, I would say, challenges. But now the technology is advancing in the motor space, in the controller space, even in the battery space. There are a lot of safety features which are built into the system. Even the testing factors have become much more stringent these days. There are no loopholes. And as I said right from the start of this discussion, the service is something which needs to be the major focus. That is also getting addressed in the right way. I think this is a good time. I think now people should certainly see this as at least as their second vehicle, because this would, at least in those aspects, the migration is happening much faster. That's what I would like to, talk about at least.
Okay. Okay.
And of
That's
course, the supply chain, because no, the major automotive, whether it is auto components or the auto OEMs, have majorly invested in Bharat 6, and there was a hard push into the EV space, in the last 4 5 years, even if you take few years before. So Bharat 6, it was just getting implemented. By then, there is a hard push of EV into the market. So auto component, the supply chain needs to be strengthened, it needs to be developed, but that is happening much faster. It is happening in a faster space these days, in fact, for
okay.
sure.
I like to ask Mr. Nikhil Khurana. So like, how do you see, like, do your company is employing business models such as battery swapping and all? Because what we see, battery swapping or EV leasing, are you looking for these kind of business model? Are you trying to employing all those kind of?
Well, the entire market segment has to be considered.
Mm,
Uh,
yes.
all the financing options and the insurance solutions, one has to define and structure uh, certain options for the customers to to foresee that whether they would like to pay for the entire solution, which includes battery as well as a non-battery uh, leasing model or a fill lease model. So, like without battery, they can offer only kit components pricing, and they could charge the. I mean, the customer can be taken in per kilometer pricing for the battery and the energy cost coming to it. So we have also uh, have been exploring certain financing solutions under our own NBFC, where we could help wholesale financing to EV dealers and customers, be it across the form factors, be it like a two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, or the buses and the commercial vehicle side. And where have we have defined in certain form factors where customers are paying. So, like if we're underwriting a 3 lakh, 4 lakh lithium battery e-rickshaw or electric three-wheeler, we have underwritten certain strategic uh, solution where customer is paying for the battery at per kilometer defined, say like 2 rupees or 5 rupees as for the energy and the battery cost to it, where
Mm,
they are having uh, their vehicle being operational just on the battery leasing model, or we could also swap those models. So when there was a provision where all the electric three-wheelers needed to have a change in their battery from lead acid to lithiums. We explored certain strategies under our group for for leasing the battery or for underwriting the electric components and the service and the spares cost as well. Because there were a lot of electric three-wheeler operators came to us and said, there's a huge cost coming at to for this lithium battery. Can you finance us? And so that's where we define this. And even on the supply chain side, we have been working with tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers in all the component systems and components, be it powertrain, motor, traction motor, and transmission solutions, like entire electromechanical powertrain solution, or the battery system. So we provide them certain capital in the form of equity and debt structures, where they could uphold their stock and inventory, say becoming from lithium cells, or the individual components, or the pack solution what they develop. I mean, coming at to the tooling cost or the development cost or the inventory financing if they need. So we always believe that this entire retrofitment and the EV application is a subsector to the automotive, and one needs to address it coming from the supply chain viewpoint, as well as the operations and the assembly, and coming to it for the more affordable solutions coming out to be leasing and the FinLease models as well.
Yeah.
Sarshwat, apologies to interrupt. I have a hard stop. If there is any last question for me, I have another call starting at 4.
No, so I think we got. I mean, we got what the mostly the insights that you gave was actually very thought provoking, very in depth, in fact. So I think I mean, if it's you can leave. So I mean, it's, I mean,
Thanks, Sarshwat. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
yeah. So mostly it's done. We're just looking at some question and answers. But just Nikhil, such a one thing like for example, battery swapping is still developing for four-wheelers, right? Still not developed yet, right? And I think if that develops, it will help for retrofitting, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely it's picking up, but I think,
See the swapping as uh, a solution could be implied where there is always a transit from A to B, right? Where you can have the accessible uh, swapping stations where customer can go and get it done. But in the way of passenger vehicles, if I would say, you need a freedom to drive your vehicle, right? If you want to drive from
yeah, sure.
from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, wherever you feel like driving. That's so that's where I feel in the passenger car segment, it could be a difficult proposition. But I mean, coming at to be buses and certain truck solutions where there's always or there's already a predefined route coming to it. That's where the battery swapping is all, and swapping is always a very efficient solution, so that it won't be a heavy burn down to the customer that they have to pay a huge cost coming add to it while purchasing a vehicle or getting a retrofitment be it.
Yeah, got it. So there's a question from Saurav Mishra. He has said that what kind of support do you see that is needed in AV retrofitting? Because as you said, like the GST is charged on the it's charged on one component, specific component, not an entire retrofitting kit. So that is there. And what else is support is needed from the government in terms of policy making?
So see, in the entire auto sector, every component attracts a different GST depending upon the application of the vehicle or the form factor. So, say like a transmission gear would attract a 28% GST if it's used in a passenger vehicle or a four-wheeler, per to say. But if that goes into a two-wheeler, it attracts a 18% GST. If it goes in a tractor, then it gets a 12% GST. And if that goes into implement, so like a added system of a tractor, it attached 18% GST. So in the entire
Wow.
auto sector, the taxation framework, the GST is fine depending upon the application. So
Hmm.
till now, I mean, what we have done in our pilots, we are charging, we have charged the customer uh, at par on the component list, or a comprehensive GST coming out to be 28%. That's what we have sold it so far. And but we are working with government, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Heavy Industries, be it Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. We're working on a solution where there would be a comprehensive HSN code for this entire product category, which could attract anywhere between, I mean, what we are trying our best to suggest to the government is coming out to be between 5 to 12%. But at par, it could be applied maybe 18%. So we are working on that. But and we are not stopping ourselves to enter the market and take and cater to the customers only depending upon the lack of taxation framework. We wish that more retail customers, more voice of customers should come along with us, so that this market segment could be really taken in forward on a mass scale. Because this market segment can, I mean, what we are trying to help the government understand about this market segment could expand the domestic
Hmm.
supply chain all across the EV systems and components. Even with
Hmm.
PLI
Yeah.
for auto sector, it is only coming out to be uh, a certain auto component manufacturers who would be catering to EV landscape only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just one question, sir. Last, I mean, there's another question from Saurav Mishra. You think that more than 10 lakh passenger vehicles are plying in market in Uber and Rapido and Ola. So
Mhm.
how this market can be tapped in ride sharing and all? So do you see a way of tapping this market, or are you tapping? Are you trying to tap this market? Do you have your customers in these segments?
See, as a market player, we come across all sorts of opportunities, be it ride sharing, be it I mean, we have also entertained certain opportunities where uh, car manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers have come to us that, okay, would you be able to provide solutions or certain systems and components where there would be less dependency upon the imports, because they would only get the FAME subsidy if they have 70% localization in sourcing of their
Okay.
components. So we have established a good scale and size around the B2B
Hmm.
trade as well. So we provide domestic solutions, be it on powertrain or certain battery systems and electronic components. And it's a significant size and scale what we have achieved for electric two-wheeler, for electric three-wheeler, for I mean, we have also entertained uh, car manufacturers like coming to us to get our sort of platform and any other components if they need any. And we worked upon those opportunities, and so far, I mean, our company is very well positioned in terms of good revenue size and good amount of top line. So like a couple of $1 million in the top line, and
Okay.
we make a good business in that. And this business has supported us to explore more opportunities upon the uh, financial services and the asset management, or by the way of private equity, we are working in the entire ecosystem, be it supply chain and the value chain.
Okay.
So that's what the opportunities have come there.
I mean, I think with this we can look forward to end this session. It's been a very fruitful session. We're having good interaction with all the panelists. I think some of them have left, but thank you, Nikhil sir, for being here, and thank you all the audience as well who've been part of this webinar, who've asked question and answers. Sadly, I could not take all the questions, but I've tried as much questions as possible I could take during the course of the conversation. So I think with this we can end this webinar. It has been a very fruitful and meaningful or learning opportunity for all of us. So thank you. Have a nice day, everyone. Yeah. Bye.